Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video we are going to be doing a nail art tutorial featuring some metallic nail art gels, platinum flakes, blooming gel and a French. So I really hope you all enjoy watching because we're going to be doing a lot of fun nail art. Now I wanted this set or this design to have a nude and gold theme, so I've gone for RB012 because I love the embedded gold flakes. Then we also have True Nude, and as well as True Nude I'm going to be using coconut. Then we're going to be using the metallic gold nail art gel pot. This is one of the latest additions and they are absolutely stunning. Another one of the newbies that we're going to be using are the new platinum flakes in gold as well. So now that I've shown you guys the products, let's jump into the nail art. So I'm starting off on this now. We're going to be doing an ombre with some metallic nail art swirls over the top. So I'm going to come in with two super thin coats of Kiki London's coconut. The reason I'm keeping these coats thin is because coconut is a very highly pigmented shade, and if you apply your pigmented shades too thickly they can wrinkle or have curing issues, so make sure that you're keeping your coats nice and thin. Then we're going to take that gorgeous RB12 and create our ombre. Now although RB12 is a rubber base coat, you can use this the same way you would a gel polish shade as well. The products are very versatile. So we're going to apply a small amount of that down at the cuticle area, and then to create our fade we're going to use the ombre brush. But what I'm doing is just using a very gentle touch. I'm very gently dragging that colour and the gold flakes down. I want the nude of the gel polish to fade out, but I want to make sure that those gold flakes are fading down as well. So that's why we're making sure to use a really nice gentle stroke, curing that for 30 seconds. And I have done this in two super thin coats as well, just so we can create a really nice blend without adding too much bulk to the nail. On the second coat I've just applied a very small area right down at that cuticle area, and I'm leaving the majority of that there and just gently fading this down. This is because I want the cuticle area to be the most opaque part of our ombre. Now we are going to do some metallic swirls over the top of this, but before moving on to that step, because the rubber base coat with the gold flakes embedded can be ever so slightly uneven, I want to seal this in with my rubber top coat first. So I'm going to come in, apply a thin coat of the rubber top coat, cure that for 60 seconds, and then the nail like this on its own does look absolutely beautiful. So if you don't want to do any painting, hand painting, you can leave it at that. Because I am going to be hand painting, and I do always prefer to hand paint over a matte surface, I'm going to take my 180 grit side of the buffer and just gently buff the surface simply to remove the shine. We're going to give that a good dust off and wipe over it with an alcohol wipe just to make sure that there's no dust remaining on the nail. How gorgeous does this look matte as well? Then we're going to take our stripe liner brush, and I love this brush for doing any kind of hand painted nail art because it just makes it a hell of a lot easier. As you can see on my palette, I've taken a little bit of the metallic gold and then I'm just running my brush through that and creating a really simple swirl. I wanted this swirl to come off center, but then make sure it's going right down the center of the nail so it crosses over that blend but really pops on the surface. Now the metallic gold nail art gel pots are super highly pigmented, so a little bit goes a long way and it's sufficient enough to do one coat. You don't need to come in and do a second coat. So I've done my first swirl ever so slightly thicker than what I'm going to do the second one because I'd seen this design and I wanted to give it a go. So with the second one I'm keeping that super thin, but I am just coming in here and there and neatening up any edges. Once I was happy with how that looked, I popped this in to cure for 30 seconds, and I just love the different gold tones and how they're layered up. Now that this design is finished, we're going to come and seal everything in with another layer of the rubber top coat. Keeping this thin, although it is a thicker consistency product, it is my go-to for encapsulating any kind of nail art because it leaves you with a super smooth high shine finish. So now moving on to the second design. On this design we're going to come in and do a base of True Nude. Now although we're doing the base of True Nude, we are going to be adding that RB12 over the top. So again, we're wanting to keep our coats nice and thin. On this now we're going to be doing a French. So I'm doing two coats of True Nude, but like I said, keeping those super thin. A lot of the Kiki colours, I'd say around 99% of them, are full coverage in only two coats. So you want to make sure that you're keeping your coats nice and thin so that you don't end up with a too thick or bulky nail, especially when you're doing nail art and layering up your colours or your nail art elements. Over the top of this I'm going to come in with that RB12. Now you could at this step also use the gold flake top coat, but I wanted to still have a little bit of that same nude tone running through the set. So that was why I stuck with using RB12, but I did keep it on the thin side because it is a thicker consistency product where it's a rubber base. I'm then going to wipe over the surface of this just to remove a tacky layer so that our French goes on a little bit neater and we don't have any bleeding of the colour. Now to do the French, of course, I'm going to take my Kiki London French brush, load it up with a generous amount of coconut, and then I'm just going to flip the brush from side to side to create the first part of our smile line. As you can see, I'm keeping the brush quite flat to the nail, and then as we want to move on to the next part of the French, which is bringing those wings down, I'm going to use the long end of the French brush the same way you would use your stripe liner brush, just to pull the edges or the wings of that French down. I'm going to do this in 2 coats, so we're curing that first coat and then we're going to repeat the steps. I always find the French brush a lot easier to use if you load it up with a generous amount of gel polish. So I like to take a fair amount on there, lay it flat against the nail and pull down, and then exactly the same as before, coming in using the long end of the bristles to create the long parts of your wings. If you don't feel comfortable doing this part with the French brush, you can as always use your stripe liner brush. It's personal preference, but I do find it a lot easier if you've got your French brush to hand to go in and do it with that. I really loved how the coconut popped against the nude base in this set, especially with those gold flakes. And then lastly, we're going to come in and top coat again using that no wipe rubber top coat to seal everything in and give us that super smooth finish. I really loved how this French looked. I think it's just a nice subtle French, but then the gold flakes just give you that hint of nail art, and I'm really loving nude and gold in January as well. If you've had lots of colours over the Christmas and New Year period, it's nice to go in with some nudes and some whites and keep everything a little bit more simple. On to the third nail art design, we are going to be doing another layered design. So we're coming in with 2 coats of True Nude, and you're going to see this colour a lot more in this particular design. So we're making sure our application is nice and smooth and nice and even. Again, we've done 2 coats, curing each coat for 30 seconds. And on this now, we're going to be adding on the platinum gold flakes. Now I'm going to add these on to the tacky layer of your gel polish, so don't wipe that off. And to apply these, I'm going to use the round nail art brush because I only want to apply a small amount in a certain section of the nail. So I thought the round nail art brush would be easiest for this because the platinum flakes are really easy to pick up, and when you only want to pick up a small amount, you do have to be very careful about how you're picking them up. So I'm very lightly tapping my brush into those gold flakes, giving it a little tap with my finger so that some of the excess fall off, and then I'm gently just pressing them down where I want them to go on the nail. As I mentioned, I only want these on a small patch on the nail. I kind of wanted to recreate a design that I've done with gold leaf before. Now once I've got them applied with the round nail art brush, you might find that some of them are sticking up a little bit, so we're very gently going to smooth over them using the flat edge of the silicone tool just to make sure that there's none sticking up. Then I am going to come in and seal these in with some top coat, and I've opted to use the matte top coat in this set here because I'm going to be coming in and stamping over the top, and it's quite easy sometimes to just stamp over a matte top coat rather than a glossy top coat because it stops your stamped image sliding around. So once that matte top coat had cured, we're going to come in and stamp down a little leaf. Like I said, this is a design that I've done lots of times, but I usually use gold leaf, which is quite fiddly and finicky to use. The gold flakes are so much easier to use, so now that these are available from Kiki London, I had to give them a go in the design. So we're stamping down our little leaf, and I wanted to make sure they ever so slightly overlap the gold flakes so you're not covering them up, and I really love the abstract vibes that this one gave off. Then I decided I wanted to go back to having it glossy so that those platinum gold flakes really pop through from underneath that design. So taking our rubber top coat again, we're going to pop a layer of this over the entire nail, cure for 60 seconds, and just look how simple yet gorgeous this one looks. I think this was my favorite out of them all, but do let me know in the comments below which one you liked the most. On to the fourth and final design, I'm coming in again with True Nude as our base. I felt as though this particular colour paired up really nicely with RB12, and I did have a good look through my nudes before choosing this one, but I really loved how it's got a similar colour to it, but it is a little bit more brighter, but it just worked really, really well. So we're going to do 2 coats of this, and then similar to what we did on the first nail, we are going to start off with a little bit of a glitter fade with the RB12, but this time we're going to do it down at the tip end of the nail. So I'm applying a small amount, just covering from side to side at the tip of the nail, giving the brush a good roll so that some of those gold flakes transfer into the gel. Then we're going to take the ombre brush and gently start blending this back. Now I'm blending this back to create a slight gradient, but I'm also doing this to move those gold flakes around so that they're distributed evenly across the nail. Then with my ombre brush, it's got a little bit of product still on it, so I'm able to dip into my gold flakes and just pick up a few here and there, and I'm adding these over the top. You're not necessarily going to see loads of these in this particular design, but I loved the way it added a little bit more of texture and dimension to the nail, because the gold flakes in the rubber color base, they look a lot softer where they're in that nude base, and then you add these ones over the top and it just creates that really pretty layered 3D dimensional look really, really easily. So once we've got them placed down into the wet RB12, we're going to pop that into cure. So that's going to cure our rubber color base, and then it's also going to freeze those platinum flakes in place. Then we do need to encapsulate this before we move on to the next step, just so that we've got a nice smooth base to work on top of, because we are going to be applying some blooming gel next, which works a lot better over a smoother base. So we're going to come in, apply our rubber color base to encapsulate those flakes, and then we're going to take the Kiki London blooming gel. It has been a little while since I've done any blooming gel nail art, so let me know if you would like to see more blooming gel designs. Now with your blooming gel, you want to apply a thin layer to the entire nail. I'm using a Nude bottle, and I picked up a little bit more on my brush than what I wanted to, so I'm just removing a little bit of that. Then you keep your blooming gel wet, so don't pop it into cure, and you place your design down into that uncured blooming gel. So what I'm doing here is taking a large dotting tool, putting a large dot in the center of the nail, and then 2 smaller dots just coming off the side, and then I'm simply gonna let this bloom. So I've left this little bit in real time just so you can see it blooming. You can see the edges are softening, and then once you're happy with how much it is bloomed, that's when you pop it in to cure. So I was happy of how that design was looking. I didn't want it to bloom too much that it completely covered up that gold. And then I really thought this looked really, really fun. I haven't really done, it's kind of got a bit of a crocodile print vibe to it, and I haven't really done anything like this over the top of a glitter fade before, but I quite liked how it looked. Lastly, we did have to then come in and top coat to seal in our bloomed design, and this was the finished result. So here we have 4 simple but really fun and cute nail art designs. Do let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite. Of course, if you did enjoy today's video, please do give it a thumbs up and hit that subscription button if you haven't already. As always, all of the products I've used will be linked in the description box below, so do check that out. If you have any comments or questions, please do leave them below. I'm always happy to help. I shall hopefully see you all again very soon in the next video. Thank you all so much for watching. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.